This is very much a serious case of the U.S. Supreme Court when you've got almost the majority of states in the country weighing in. I mean, we're just like 6 states short of every state in the country weighing in. We've even got U.S. territories weighing in.
The final word was put in by Texas just a while ago when they filed a reply brief to the briefs that had been filed by all these other defendant states, replying to what Texas had said. So now with the reply brief, the court could rule or ask for more or ask for oral argument, whatever. It's up to the Supreme Court.
When they said it's coming at 3 o'clock yesterday, there was a reason for that. That was they were going to start working on it yesterday afternoon. The court. Yeah. That's why they said 3. They didn't want it at 5.
I don't want people to read into that Texas reply brief and think the court ordered reply briefs. They did not. Texas did that on their own, which is okay to do.
They haven't granted the amicus participation yet. I don't think they will deny it. I think what you're going to see, I do think there'll be some type of opinion here. I don't know that for a fact. Yeah. I think it's going to be very soon. When I say very soon, it could be while we're on the air. It could be tomorrow or Sunday. But the electors sit. The Electoral College meets on Monday.
They've now got the documentation in place where they could make the decision now, at any moment. They don't have to call for oral argument. They don't have to call for additional briefing or allow for additional amicus briefs. This decision by the court, and I want to remind everybody listening right now, this is the court of last resort, Andy. It is the final place you can go to make your case. This is the single most important case because it's outcome determinative.
It really is up to the court. And there's a lot of different ways it could go. I mean, they could do this. They could say this is a political question. We're not going to address it. The legislatures can. Now, then the question will be, is any legislatures going to do anything different that process, in 48 hours on their slate of electors?
Yeah, well, I think that if they are told by the Supreme Court that their election was illegal, this was picked up by some reporters yesterday, these state legislators who may have previously made statements in the past that we're going to abide by the results. Well, if the Supreme Court comes out and said your results were illegal, you conducted the election unconstitutionally, and you violated the rules, I think that changes how they view it.
This was filed as an original jurisdiction case. That means it did not originate in a district court. It did not originate in the Court of Appeals. It originated at the Supreme Court. 2 justices, Alito and Thomas, view that as mandatory. The second issue in the case is, will the court accept jurisdiction?
You have to successfully assert jurisdiction as a predicate for the court actually hearing the merits of the claim. So jurisdiction is not a decision on the merits.
If they grant jurisdiction, then they could still come to a substantive decision that says no, or a decision that says it goes back to the state legislature. Or could they write an opinion that says, we're not going to decide this. We've taken jurisdiction, but this is more of a political kind of question, and there's a remedy available, and if you think there's a problem, now you pass the safe harbor, so that would be interesting. The remedy would be within the legislatures who, under the Constitution, Harry, you were alluding to this, are the ones who decide the electors.
I'm reading the conclusion of their brief, and it's really important. What they're asking is, Supreme Court enjoin the defendants from certifying the presidential electors and from having them vote in the Electoral College, or if you don't do that, vacate their certification of presidential electors and remand to the defendant state legislatures pursuant to the statute and the electors clause.
The court has said, the late Justice Ginsburg, that when they're considering things, they really look at January 6th, which is when Congress certifies those electoral votes. But to make matters less confusing, I think if the court can do whatever on either side, if they can, they would try to do it before Monday. But I don't think they would say they have to if they thought they needed to hear oral arguments in this case, or if they had needed additional briefing on a specific question that came up in the case.
The Supreme Court's dealing with the template. The template is called the U.S. Constitution. There are arguments on both sides. Those arguments have been made. There's not been oral arguments yet. The court could order that for tomorrow. They're not bound by a Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Friday schedule. Or they could just decide the case. So we need to be prepared. We've always said this is a real uphill battle. But I think this is the last real case. That's my view. This is the last real case.